Welcome back. Today we are riding Bella, our 4-year-old Lusitano mare, and we're at our local venue, Croxted, because the weather's not so nice outside today, so we thought we'd come in here. And then what we thought we'd do is we'd talk about the scales of training and try and sort of help you with understanding each and individual one and how they all intertwine and how you really need each of them individually. So if we start with the first scale of training, which is rhythm, and as we walk around, we're trying to think about a clear 4-beat rhythm in the walk, and particularly with a young horse, sometimes what can happen is like there, you'll see that she just had a little look at something, and that will affect the rhythm, and it will affect the suppleness and the contact. But thinking about the rhythm as your first scale of training, even here, as she just nods and, gets a little distracted, she comes out of that 4-beat rhythm. So in the walk, we're looking to kind of establish a nice clear 4-beat rhythm, and it's thinking about the regularity in the walk, really. It's that clear 1, 2, 3, 4. There, we lost it. You can just see that we come and go a little bit. The rhythm is really the key to all of the work. And as I go up to trot, we're looking to keep that 2-beat rhythm. So there, where she has a little look, we lose the rhythm again. So we'll go up to trot, and here we're looking to try and get her to stretch down and maintain a lovely rhythm. So we want to keep the regularity. So here you can see that changes the rhythm. If she looks at something, speeds up, slows down, that changes the rhythm, and that's what we don't want. Of course, that's hard with a youngster because they are going to change in rhythm because they're not terribly balanced yet. So rhythm and balance kind of come hand in hand a little bit. The more balanced they are, the better the rhythm. So trot is a nice 2-beat. See there, we just really slowed right down, and so that was losing the regularity in the rhythm. And then as we go up to canter, the canter there, again, we lost the rhythm, we lost the regularity of the pace. So it's quite good actually showing you on a younger horse, because you'll definitely see the rhythm changing a lot more on something like this. But our aim is to try and maintain it. So as we go up to canter, just need to get her a little bit listening, soft around my inside leg. That's it, that's better. And here we lost the rhythm a bit, and here feels good. So there's the canter. Now we're looking for a clear 3-beat. She's got quite a big canter, but I don't want to slow it down too much at the moment because she's only young. So you can just see there we just lost our 3-beat, our rhythm, and then we fell down to. So it's trying, for me as a rider, trying to help maintain that 3-beat and not drop her and stop riding her and not let her fall out the front door. So it's not to let her go quicker, it's to actually slow her a second just to get that canter back to that 3-beat. So you don't push on, you need to slow down. There we go. Here we go for the 3. Just getting a little bit onward bound there. So I do need to take a half halt, but that half halt was too much. So then it stopped me from keeping the canter. Keep her soft around my inside leg. So try and keep my thigh loose my lower leg quick. So here's the 3 beat. Perfect now. Lovely clear 3 beat. Gently forwards to trot, try to maintain the rhythm now. This is hard, from canter to trot, to maintain now that 2 beat rhythm. And as we change direction, so here, looking to keep that rhythm, and actually quite nicely keeping that rhythm now. So now if we think about the suppleness, having explained a little bit the rhythm, the suppleness is her feeling soft around your inside leg and being able to move and change direction without her stiffening and tightening her back. So as I go here from left to right, left leg to right rein, and then here right leg to left rein, and maintain the rhythm, try to maintain the suppleness to the inside so I can just about see the bone of her eye. And every time we change direction, we're now thinking about, can we start using inside leg to outside rein, and can we start to sort of keep the rhythm and keep a suppleness through the changes of direction, which is really hard, especially on a baby horse. So here, left leg to right rein. Don't feel like you're pulling around with the inside rein. You're more guiding her with the inside rein. And you feel almost like you're turning from your saddle rather than you're turning with your hands. So then if we pop some transitions in, so just thinking a little bit about coming back to walk and trying to maintain that rhythm, suppleness in the transitions. Then, so we've talked about rhythm and we've talked about suppleness. So here now comes the contact, and that's the hardest one, I think. Because without the rhythm and the suppleness, there's no way that you can create a steady contact, because you need the balanced, rhythmical horse that's supple to be able to steadily stay on the bit and into the contact. So, especially with a youngster, that's a lot harder. So it's about making sure that your hands are very steady, which can be very difficult when they are young, because they do move you around quite a lot, especially if they're a big horse and you're little. So it's about trying to sort of think about your hands staying very steady, but at the same time, in the walk, you need to feel that you can just allow the horse and follow its natural nodding movement of his head and neck. You don't want to be like stopping the horse here. See how that really slows her down and she braces a little against that. So it's about a giving hand and knowing when to give. So by creating the rhythm and the suppleness, that inside leg to outside rein, that starts to help you create a contact. So with an equal pair of hind legs pushing into a steady hand, that's going to help maintain a steady contact. So as I go up to trot, I'm going to try and keep my hands really steady. And I talk about a passive resistance in the rein aid, and what I mean by that is, as she goes to sort of pop her head up and look at something, I will just have this feeling that there's something very heavy on top of my hands, and if I wanted to, I couldn't lift them. So I never pull back. I'm just staying here passively when she's nice and steady in the outline, and then a little more resistant when I feel her, want to check something out or look around or lose her balance. And she will lose her balance and she'll lose the contact. But that's why we need the rhythm. See how the rhythm's getting better now. We're warming up a little bit. Easier. Oh, I say that and then we slow down. But the rhythm's getting better now. The contact's better. The suppleness is better. So we start thinking now, okay, so with a steady hand, we can equally, with those hind legs, get them to push and push forwards, and you feel like you kind of catch those hind legs in your hands, and you feel the activity, the equal push, which then takes us on to the next scale of training, which is impulsion. So where sometimes a lot of us go wrong is we go to impulsion first, because we think if we have the horse more active and forwards, I'm just going to let her stretch a bit for a moment. So we're just having a little breather now, but still want to think a little bit about the rhythm. She can have a stretch because she gets tired. So it's short bursts with these young horses really, don't try and do too much all in one go. And I was going on to the next scale of training, which is impulsion, and for me that's a really tricky one, because in a lot of our dressage tests and scores that we get back and our comments, we often are lacking impulsion. So all of us often are lacking impulsion at the earlier levels. So what we're trying to really think about is an activity in the trot. But where I think some of us get confused is that we forsake the impulsion for speed, and we have the horses running. And of course when the horse runs, that completely affects the rhythm. So your walk 4 beat, trot 2 beat, canter 3 beat is often disturbed by this speed. And because that's disturbed and the balance is disturbed, the suppleness is disturbed. Then because they're unbalanced and they're a little bit tense through their back and tight, the contact is disturbed. So you get horses hollowing and bracing and poking their nose and that kind of thing. So the impulsion, hence why it's not early on in the scales of training. So you've got your rhythm, you've got your suppleness, you've got your contact, then you go to your impulsion, and your impulsion is about a quick hind leg, not a fast hind leg, not something that's rushing. So an active hind leg. And actually, if you can get the hind legs to be really pushing, then the horse kind of makes a nice kind of shape, like a bit like you're building a bridge to sit on. So you're building a bridge to sit on, rather than if you go too fast and forsake the other parts of the scales of training, you often get kind of a hammock to sit in rather than a bridge to sit on. So with the hammock, that kind of hollow back, the hind legs are really left out behind, and then the horse never really strengthens through here. But with an active pair of hind legs and the other components in place first, you get that bridge, that feeling of the horse pushing. So then the horse pushes with a pair of equal hind legs. Now quite often you have a horse with a dominant hind leg and a weaker hind leg, and that will always be, you know, we'll always have those problems, but going to the impulsion too early doesn't solve that problem. It doesn't make them better. You have to get them in the right shape and the right place, and then put the impulsion in. So we'll go back to trot now. I'll just start to pick her up a little bit, and we're just working now on, I don't want to go faster, but I want to have the activity. So it can feel like sometimes you're going faster than you actually are, and that's quite a good thing to video yourself sometimes, just to take a little look, or if you're lucky enough to have mirrors, well then that's great, but we're not all lucky enough to have mirrors. But looking a little bit at a video of yourself, because you can sometimes think that you're going really fast, or you're really active, or you're not active enough, and then you watch the video back and you think, oh actually it looks better than I thought, or maybe I could work on that a little better. So I want the suppleness, I need around my inside leg, and I say about the suppleness being like a kind of like a banana shape round your inside leg, and we want the rhythm, suppleness, the contact. I can only put impulsion in if I've got those three in place. So if I ask her to just step on a little bit more, you see I'm not necessarily going quicker, but I'm asking her to be a little bit more active with those hind legs, which is much better for her. It's better for her body. And I try and keep that forward feel as I change direction. And now the suppleness from left leg to right rein, turn my saddle, or that feeling of turning in my saddle rather than pulling on the rein, and here, there I put my impulsion in. So I've got a little bit more of an active trot now, and actually you can see they all sort of help each other, these components, because now I've put more activity into the trot, the outline's got steadier. So you can see how these they all kind of overlap. So that's the first parts of the scales of training. The impulsion just being that little bit more active and forwards. So what comes after that? Well, once you've got all of those things in place, straightness. So it's incredibly difficult to keep a horse straight if the rhythm isn't great and the rhythm is changing. I'm just going to let her stretch again and have another little breather while I talk about it, and I can have a little breather as well then. So with the straightness, the next scale, it's if the rhythm is changing, then the balance is changing. Then of course the suppleness is changing. We're getting the horse kind of like tensing against us, getting tight through its back, because you often hear that a lot in tests. It was tight through its back. So you get the tight through the back, you get the contact changing, coming, going, and of course you can't really keep a straight horse with all of those things, happening. So rhythm, suppleness, contact, impulsion, and straightness. So the straightness is, I often talk about the horse being in between the tram lines, and I think that is a really good way to explain it actually. You imagine your legs and your hands acting as if they're kind of like a pole either side of the horse, and you're kind of buffering them, if you like. So as you feel the horse start to fall a little bit to the left or fall a little bit to the right, you kind of catch them with your hand and leg, but it's tiny, because if you overdo that, you kind of end up pushing them too far the other way. So it's like subtle little adjustments all the time, that you're just putting them back between your hand and leg. So when you're going to do your straightness, that centre line, that dreaded centre line in the dressage test, where we all think, oh God, when I go down there, I always wobble a bit, and then I have to halt at the end, and then I really wobble. And that's partly due to the other elements not really being in place. So maybe the rhythm isn't quite there, the suppleness isn't quite there, the contact is coming and going, and maybe the impulsion is not quite there yet. So the horse isn't coming down that centre line with an equal hind leg pushing. So I'm going to pop back up to trot now, try and find my rhythm, my suppleness, and my contact. And you can see the trot's a little slower here, so now I need to add my impulsion, because you kind of need to have the feeling of the horse really in front of your leg and taking you to maintain a straightness. And then I'll just try a little bit coming up the centre line just to try and explain what I'm trying to achieve here. So the suppleness through the turn, I don't want the rhythm to change, and that feeling of staying between hand and leg. And you can feel the little wobbles going on, but there's the impulsion. Feel the push through the turn. Whoops, there's my rhythm gone. But that's how it will be sometimes. And we try that again. We've got the suppleness through the turn, hopefully, which actually we're lacking a little bit there. So instead of trying to make that turn, go circle first, get the suppleness, put the impulsion back in, and then make the turn the next time. And then here comes, hopefully, a little bit quarters drifting there, the straightness. Riding forwards, 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 active, 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 between hand and leg, and turning. Forwards, forwards, forwards. Good. We're now coming on to the last scale of training, which is collection. And with the collection, it's the ultimate goal really, the horse at Grand Prix, working in that lovely uphill frame. But with any horse, any level, we're trying to kind of develop their ability to collect, and then eventually getting to that kind of phase where they're at Grand Prix and they're able to. So you have to work within your horse's capabilities, and your first real sort of starts of developing collection within that horse's capabilities are a little bit of on and back within the pace, and also doing your transitions, because your transitions are important key to, you know, developing a stronger hind leg, a more active hind leg, and that's what it's all about. So this is where the scales of training all start to kind of work with one another, because with all those other elements in place, the suppleness, the contact, the impulsion, you know, the straightness, your collection is kind of developing anyway. So it's not a big thing to think, oh, I've got to develop collection today. It's just something that you're going to work on, you know, a little bit on and back. So a little bit medium trot, a little bit, well, working trot, collected trot. So you start to work through the gears. And that's where I would say, you know, just to develop a little bit of that on and back, and then you're kind of building the blocks to eventually having that more collected feel. And hopefully you will find that helpful, and you'll remember to think about those elements when you're schooling, and should help. She's such a good girl. We love her. So thank you for watching today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and keep watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because we have some very exciting training ideas coming up for you, so remember to subscribe.